And then it got picked up.
Got picked up by Netflix.
Pretty
Pretty
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Freaking awesome. Yeah. Let me ask a question. Do they pay for any of the rentals, or they're like, you guys are on your own? Like, did they give you a little bit more of a budget?
Yeah, but not enough that really doesn't make much of a difference.
Right.
You do it for the show, not for
You do it for the marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Today, I am very fortunate to be joined by my old friend, Sarah Sklash. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Sarah has a very unique story and a non-traditional career path that ends in a non-traditional business that she runs now. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Happy to be here. Good to see you.
Likewise. Yeah. It's been a minute.
Sure has. Yeah.
I don't think I've actually seen you since we left university.
It really, I feel like maybe once, but it's been ages.
Yeah, it really has. Well, you look great.
Thanks, you too.
So for the benefit of the audience and those that may not watch Netflix, why don't you tell people what it is that you do and who you are?
Sure. So what I do is take like dingy roadside motels and reimagine them. And we have the brand, the June Motel. So we've just opened our third motel this year. And that's like, in a very short nutshell, that's what we do.
You've coined a very unique term for yourself, right? What is that?
So I don't know that we coined it, but we are moteliers.
We're giving you credit.
Sure, all right. Yeah, I'm a motelier. I coined it myself.
Yeah, a motelier.
Yeah.
That's a play on hotelier.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Before we dig into like the business that you're in right now, like we left school. What happened after that?
So after leaving school, I had two job offers. I had one, and those two job offers, I think, represented like my two different interests. Mm-hmm. So one was with the Ontario government, and the other one was with a hotel company. And I chose government.
Okay.
I really thought like that was the path for me. It was like one of those good, stable jobs. I had a pension like right out of school.
Yeah, because most 21-year-olds are like, I need a pension.
I mean, yeah, I think you don't think it, but you hear it from your parents and like previous generations. Like that was the dream. And I really wanted to do something good in the world. I worked for Service Ontario. I don't know if that was the good in the world. It like did important work, proud of what I did, learned a lot. I was there for a decade.
For real?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. You were like 1 year away from becoming a lifer, making the sunshine list, doing the whole thing.
I know. Yeah. And it must have been sort of that gave me that little kick to be like, is this really how you're going to spend the rest of your life? Like,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, it's great. And I really like the work was interesting, challenging, super important. But that, desire of being in the hotel industry was always in the back of my mind. And really like, I was a creative person. I like beautiful things. Like I wanted that outlet for creativity.
Right.
I also never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like that was not on my career path at all.
I mean, I don't know. It would have been like university, Sarah. I could
Really?
I could see that. I mean, maybe not. Yeah, why not? Yeah, like you weren't like an iBanker.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Like, oh, by the way, like anybody that walks out of our school is typically like iBanking, consulting, accounting,
Right. Yeah.
and then like small amounts of marketing. Like you might be the only person that left Ivy and went to work for the government.
There's a few.
So you
I
took
feel like
your
there's
own
a
path.
few every year. But yeah, I knew in Ivy, like it just didn't click for me to take the traditional Ivy path.
Did you like Ivy?
Good question. I think so. I feel like there was a way of thinking that I still use to this day that I think we learned through the Ivy experience.
Like case-based.
Case-based and like a way of just looking through things analytically and through a certain process and lens. I think we learned some polish through Ivy, and definitely like, yeah, I don't know. No one's ever asked me if I liked it. I think I did. I had a great time.
I had a great time too. The people were what made that school for me.
Yeah.
I find that, you know, beyond the fact that like 40% of my podcast guests are are a year at Ivy, it was the people, the connections, like I love that. Obviously, like the school and the polish and all that, but yeah, like I want to know, because like you took a very non-traditional path, which to my case about you being entrepreneurial, like you went against the grain in that alone, right?
Yeah.
Like you were. So I think you had it in you all along.
Maybe. I just think entrepreneurial, like I wasn't there yet. And I'm actually so glad that I had that decade of experience before running my own business. I think I learned so much through that and really had to like grow up a bit to be able to take on doing my own thing.
So you do 10 years in what is like the prototypical office job, basically. Yep. The cast, like I haven't worked a lot of office jobs, so like I have like the office visions in my mind.
My first 2 years, I worked for Service Ontario Publications, and it could have been The Office. Like everything, it's so relatable.
I love it. Then you wake up one day and you're like, okay, I need a change, right? Yeah. Entrepreneurship was where you're like, I'm gonna buy motels. Like that was you knew right away that's what you wanted. So like, how did you transition from office to like motel ownership?
I started watching a lot of Dragon's Den.
Okay.
And it probably took like a year of watching that and being like, oh, I could do that. Like I could have that idea. But my best friend and I, both around the same time, actually, sorry, before that, I started a couple little side hustles that were very unsuccessful.
Okay.
I started a Turkish towel business.
A what?
Turkish towels.
Like bath towels?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And they're like beach towels. They're really nice. And to this day, I still have like 90% of the inventory in my storage locker.
Put them in the motels.
I should. Yeah. I know. The color palette's a little off. And then I started another thing. I just won't even.
No, go ahead.
So it was a print your Instagram photos on a silk scarf. It was cool. It was like.
Okay.
My programming skills really shone through there.
Big market there, eh?
So exactly. Yeah. And I think one of the things, and to this day, I'm not a great salesperson. I'm not a great marketer. But my best friend, so while I was in Ontario government, she was building her career in public relations, marketing, and both of us kind of like, perfect timing, wanted to do something different.
Right.
So her and I, it was 2016, New Year's Day, got together, drank a bottle of wine, and brainstormed business ideas.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it sounds like the natural division of labor is like she's sales marketing and you're ops?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, come together on, we both love travel, love design. And so, come together on like finding the right property and the reimagining of the experience. But other than that, there's a pretty clear,
Of course, like there's obviously overlap. No one like stays fully in their lane, but that's like the general division of labor.
Yeah.
So you guys get drunk. You, I don't know your tolerance, but you had a bottle of wine, and you decide, okay, we're gonna buy an old motel.
So it started wine inspired. I had started going out to Prince Edward County quite a bit. And we knew there was something in the county.
Right.
So the original idea was we were going to do an adult wine camp for just a weekend, but had a bottle of wine in us, and it seemed like a good idea. And I've been looking at real estate in the county for a while, and I knew that this old motel was for sale. And so, adult wine camp, we're like, okay, we'll do it for a weekend, but this place is really gross. So we'll buy new bedding, we'll bring in plants, we'll make it look
like
cool.
You're going to rent out that whole, the whole motel.
For a weekend.
To do your remote wine tour.
But we were also going to do a really surface level freshening up of it.
Right.
But as we after
maybe using
5 minutes,
the Turkish towels.
They definitely would have made their way in there. Yeah. But yeah, within 5 minutes we're like, okay, that doesn't make sense. It makes sense to just buy the place and do this for real.
Okay, can I ask some financial numbers?
Yep.
How much was the place?
We bought it for under $1 million.
Okay. How do you get the financed, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And then how much do you have to put into it to reno?
So that first one, bought it for $1 million. This was back in 2016 when motels weren't that expensive, and Prince Edward County was still.
Yeah, it was on the come up, but it wasn't there yet.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that we were able to do on that one was get a vendor take back mortgage.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, a couple that was retiring had run that motel, had been their home for 30 years, and were struggling to find a buyer for it. So we're able to get great financing on that first one. And still we had a renovation budget on that one was $250,000.
How many rooms was it?
16 rooms.
Okay. So it's 15 grand a room, something like that.
Plus a lobby, landscaping. And we really we had no money for anything else. So that was paying our mortgage for a couple months. So that was a budget that meant we hired electricians, we hired plumbers, but the rest of it was April and I rolling up our sleeves, and we the flooring is installed by April and I. We wallpapered, we painted.
That's pretty cool. Sense of accomplishment, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the one that the show happened on?
No.
Okay. So that was proof of concept.
Yeah. So and back then we thought it was just the one.
Yeah. And so what happened? How long did it take you guys to get to let's say a point where you're oh, we have a business here?
Yeah. So we purchased in 2016. Again, April and I had no hospitality experience. So 2016 was our year of we ran this dingy roadside motel as is.
Super ambitious. When you leave Ivy, that's the banner, eh? I'm going to run a roadside motel in Prince Edward County.
Yeah. And I kept my job for a little while as well. So I was 9 to 5 government in Toronto during the week. And then I'd go out and run. It was truly a place you would never want to stay.
Was it by the hour? Are we talking that low?
No,
okay.
No. It was more, it was called The Sportsman. It was same couple had run it for 30 years, really popular with fishermen.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, we had a fish gutting station. We had signs in the room that said no gutting fish.
Okay.
So yeah, it was that
nice.
Kind of place.
Okay,
yeah,
very cool.
It was so gross.
Still cool.
Yeah. And really, April and I jumped in. We did every single job. We were checking guests in, done some housekeeping. But even in that first year, we were buying an existing business, and we had revenue day 2 of owning the place because
it was there.
It was there. They had already taken reservations for the summer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was an amazing education that year, and
That's
how
good,
to run a motel.
Talk about you kind of brushed over a lot of very important things from an entrepreneurial perspective, right? You bought something with a VTB mortgage. Yep. So you arranged your financing through the seller, which was a great check for you guys. You bought something that was existing cash flow from day one, which is again if you're talking about ways that people with limited capital could start a business, you're dropping some gems right now. So this is good.
Thank you.
I just want to highlight them for people. Yeah. Okay, so then you run it for a summer or a year, and then you're it's time to, now you've built some cash flow from the business, and you go out and you do the $250,000 reno.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was 2016. We ran as is. 2017, over the winter, it's this renovation. And then we open in 2017, and it really was sort of an instant success, which a bit of luck, a bit of like great timing. And there was really a need for it in the county. Like things were starting to really build up there. We joke, our business plan was, if you're familiar with like the Drake Hotel,
Yeah.
It was the place to stay. Our business plan was just be the second best place to stay.
Which is okay.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 2017 went really well. And so after that first season, we started shopping for our next one.
Oh, okay. So you're like expansion mode right away.
We were in like, we love that process of like finding the perfect spot, renovating it. And so it was like getting back into that mode that we were really excited about.
Okay. So then the second one comes. Where is that?
So second one comes, it's in Sauble Beach.
Right.
So it's about 3 hours northwest of Toronto. And so we also, as we were shopping for it, got a call from a friend of a friend who is a television show producer who's like, hey, I have an idea for a show. And so timing was like perfect that we were putting in this offer as she approaches us. And took about a year from that first conversation with her, filming some what they call sizzles. So like 2-minute short videos.
And are you filming those, or they're bringing a camera crew now?
So the first one was Jessica Namias was the producer. So she brought in the cameras for that first one. And it was more or less like a setup like this, interviewing April and I. She shopped that around to production companies in Canada. Proper is the production company we ended up working with. They brought in, so by that point, we actually have the property. They brought in some more cameras and put a bit more into a longer sizzle that they started shopping around with some networks.
And then it got picked up.
Got picked up by Netflix.
Pretty
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Let me ask a question. Do they pay for any of the rentals, or they're like, you guys are on your own? Like, did they give you a little bit more of a budget?
Yeah, but not enough that really doesn't make much of a difference.
Right.
You do it for the show, not for
You do it for the marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you shoot for a year basically while you're going through the renovation process?
Yeah. So we, much like the first one, ended up buying this motel. It was operational. So we had one season where just running it as is. It's a little less sketchy than the first one. And then
how many rooms was this one?
24 rooms.
So like double, basically.
Yeah.
Or 175.
24 rooms. It had a pool, which is amazing. It has this lobby bar. And it also has a restaurant. And so started filming January 2020.
Okay. Well, good timing. Yeah.
Perfect timing. Yep. So yeah, we gutted the place. And I'd say it was like fully, I'm not sure if my timelines are exactly right, but it more or less felt like everything was gutted March 2020. So perfect timing that, pandemic comes in. You can't go back to what it was because you've taken everything out. And
not like anybody was going to be staying in a motel anyways, like during COVID. Like you're...
But we didn't know in March 2020. We didn't know how long that was going to be the case for.
I know.
Yeah.
I felt like we didn't know what was going on with COVID until it was done.
Until now.
Yeah.
We can
Are
look
we still all
back on
locked out? Yeah.
Yeah.
We need masks.
Yeah. So, in hindsight, it made for really interesting television.
Right.
And yeah, in TV, like they're always
you can't pay for that stuff.
You can't.
Like, you can't buy that stuff,
like
right?
they were looking earlier, like they were looking for like, what's the drama of this show going to be? And like, we're a team of like, we're all really nice to one another. So there's no squabbling or any of that. It's
not like
kind
Selling
of drama.
Sunset where you're doing like, you hate each other. And,
Yeah. So, they were trying to like find different angles for drama. And then the pandemic comes and like, and it's a renovation. Like there's plenty of drama.
That wins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do you get out of that? Like what? Like when did I guess the good thing about the pandemic was that you could do renos during pandemic. Like there were like that was still considered a job site, so you could work there, right?
So we got shut down for I can't remember, it was 6 weeks, 2 months. So construction on motels. I don't think on housing it got shut down, but that had to stop, and filming had to stop as well. So yeah, it took about a 2-month break. It was terrifying back then. But anyway, fast forward, we were able to open. We opened Labor Day weekend 2020.
Not bad. Okay. Yeah.
And so Sobel is super seasonal. So we got a 6-week season in that year.
And then and then you shut down again?
And then we shut down for the winter.
Oh, you shut the motel down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even the one in Prince Edward County?
So Prince Edward County's, the season's getting longer. So we shut down like mid-December. We reopened mid-February. Mm-hmm. Sobel, our business case, I think, was built on being a year-end property, but we've learned over the years. Have you ever been to Sobel?
When I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah. It's very, very seasonal.
Yeah.
So we're trying to push it. We open May 10th this year.
Is Sobel Beach, does it have oh my God, I'm going flashback here. Does it have like one main like restaurant that's like on the water?
It does. Yeah.
And
like
a
diner or
it's like I would say it's like the finest dining establishment. And it's like, it's a little elevated.
When was the last time you were there?
Like I could be mixing up like small beach towns in Ontario.
Yeah.
Like maybe 25 years ago.
Yeah. There's one that you might be talking about, but Sobel's, so I had never been to Sobel until we started looking at this motel. But it's a really special place.
It is nice. All those little like towns are nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So second one opens. Now it's a success. The show gets released when?
So the show is released 2021, maybe August or September.
Okay. And do you see like a difference in the amount of volume for bookings that happen because of the show?
Yeah, for sure. So the show came out. It was interesting, and like we knew it was coming out, and so we also went down this weird road of, we're like, okay, show's coming out. We're gonna be like this global phenomenon. This is awkward.
No, I get it.
So we are like, okay, we are going to be the next like Studio McGee or like Magnolia, if you're familiar with them. So we created, like, we have an e-commerce store where like everyone's going to want to buy June merch.
Right.
We are going to be like an entertainment company and put out like weekly content for people to read, and really went down that route. E-commerce was it was a bit of a bust for sure. The show launched, it was our best month of sales on the e-commerce site. We sold out for the next season like pretty instantaneously.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing, but it's also like, you can only sell out for a season. Right. We only have 24 rooms. So that's sort of why we thought we'd expand. And we just we didn't love the business of e-commerce. It really was like a distraction from everything else we were doing.
But you realize that, and that's like, it's okay to go down a path and realize that it's not for you, or it's not like, it's not true to your core. Yeah. But you realize, and it sounds like you pivoted. You went back.
Yeah. So it was about a year, I think, that we had the e-commerce store going. And
what are you selling?
We're like, okay, people are going to love the wallpaper in the motel. Let's sell the wallpaper. They are going to love the mugs. Let's sell the mugs.
You should have threw in the towels.
I should have.
It's just one platform for everything. It's like Costco. You need towels? I got you.
But...
You want a scarf with your Instagram picture on it? I got you.
On the other hand, I have my own personal lifetime supply of towels.
That's true. I actually think I might buy some off of you.
Right.
Yeah, okay. we have a pool.
I should have brought some over next time.
Okay, so then you go back to basics with the business. We're probably in like 2022 now.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah. So 2022.
Well, actually, before we get there,
Yeah.
the hype of Netflix, like, in my own way, I've had the allure of doing something big, and like having it inflate my ego.
Okay.
Did you feel the same way? Were you like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm busy.
No, I just like, it's not, I don't think it's me. Things started like maybe it happened, but maybe I was also just like extremely
It's also not your
busy.
personality. Like, you're a pretty chill person.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm not. I can sometimes be chill. But like, I can't imagine like, yo, man, you have a show on Netflix that like, do you get to see numbers of like how well it did?
With Netflix.
You do not get to see?
No. So we knew we were top 10 in Canada, top 10 in US for like a brief moment.
Right.
Broadcast in 190 countries.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there's still like, yeah, it's super weird. Like there's some fame that
That's
comes
special,
with it.
man. Like, take a moment.
Yeah, thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah. I say like it's a small amount of fame. When I'm on the property, like I'm a celebrity. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty, I don't know.
Still counts.
Yeah.
Still counts.
Yeah.
And then you are, like, is this public that you're on your third?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's open now.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
where's the third one?
So interestingly, Sauble Beach opened 2021. Took us a few years to like get that multi-property. It came from, we really had to get like our processes really nailed down, because we couldn't just be there 24/7.
Right.
In the midst of that, my business partner, April, has a baby. I moved to Bermuda. And so...
We're going to get back to moving to Bermuda.
Sure. Yeah. We needed to like take a while to really just feel confident in our operations. And so 2023, we started shopping again. And I think we're also waiting like right property, right place, right price, right partners. And then we ended up finding this little gem of a lodge in Beaver Valley. So it's 2 hours from Toronto, 20 minutes from Collingwood.
Okay.
I think it's like the next Prince Edward County.
How big is this one?
This one, so it was interesting, sort of, we went 16 rooms, 24 rooms, and we kept thinking we would go bigger. And then we found this 8-room property that, yeah, it just totally charmed us.
If it works.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is making us like adapt our model a little bit. So we're trying to go contactless at this one. So something sort of that straddles an Airbnb and a boutique hotel.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been open for a month or so now.
24, and you said 18 or 16?
So first one's 16, 24 rooms,
So that's 40.
and now 8.
So now you're almost at 50 units, 50 doors.
Yeah.
You're like a hop, skip, and a step away from Hilton.
Yeah, a really big hop.
I'm serious though. Like it's it's like an Olympic sized leap.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, I say that for like I'll relate it to multi-unit res, which is what I do. We started off with a 9-unit property, and then a 12-unit, and then a 20-unit, and now we're building, like, I think we have 1,500 units in our pipeline, right?
Wow.
So like, it's just hilarious how like the law of like compounding returns works. Like, did you ever think that you would have 50 units under management?
Definitely not. Yeah.
Like, it's wicked.
Yeah.
And that has, now onto my like next subject, that has given you the freedom to make a very big life move, which is move to Bermuda.
Yeah.
When and how and why?
So it's been about 2 years. My husband got a good job opportunity, and I think I always didn't know I was an entrepreneur, but knew I was a traveler and loved living different places. And so when the opportunity came up, we thought, why not?
Right.
Why not? Other than the fact that my business is very much Ontario based right now.
Right.
But it's 2.5 hours away. We have the freedom, so I'm back and forth about every 2 or 3 weeks. Try to be there a little more in the winter. But yeah, I think it's been good for me, even as an entrepreneur. It really has me when I'm in Ontario, I'm really focused on spending quality time with the team, being at the properties, and then kind of lets me set aside that time when I'm in Bermuda for okay, this is your time to be at your desk, take care of the admin stuff, and yeah.
And are you guys there alone, or do you have family that lives there?
No, just us. Yeah.
Oh, so you're pure expat life.
It's expat life. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then now, tell me more about Heydays.
Sure. Yeah. So.
You're fifth or sixth venture into e-commerce, right?
Yeah, I know. And this
is going to work.
Yeah.
This one's going to be the one.
So I know, as much as we say, we're going to stay focused on growing the motel side of the business. So, this was a really cool collaboration though. So Sauble Beach has a restaurant on our property. And so when we took over Sauble, we're okay, we feel fairly confident on the motel side, but when it comes to restaurants, have no idea what we're doing.
Right.
And so kind of reached out and ended up connecting with it's two couples and their restaurateurs. One of them had been on the side of really cool fast casual in Toronto, poutinis.
Yeah.
And then the other side had managed some of Auberge de Pommier, Canoe,
okay.
and they were interested in this opportunity to open a restaurant at our motel.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was really nice was April.
So does this restaurant now have epic food?
Oh, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah,
it's
it's incredible.
Okay. I might need to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
pack up the kids and the wife and go to Sauble.
It's such a family friendly place.
Yeah. I think count me in.
Let's book.
I'm in. Yeah, let's go.
And it was interesting because April now has a child, but when we started this, neither of us had kids, and we were really still leaning in. Our original market was very much bachelorette centric.
Right.
But now we have this Sauble property that really, it's cool because I feel the bachelorettes still love it, couples love it, but families love Sauble so much. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited. Okay, so you guys do this. Today is the day this launches, correct?
Today's the day that the books arrived.
Oh, it hasn't even
in the boxes. I think by the time everyone's listening to this, it'll be
I
nice.
think this comes out in mid-June.
Yeah.
Okay, so timing is perfect.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that the last guest I had on here is also a Canadian who's moved, but he moved to Mexico.
Okay.
So clearly the Canadian government needs to listen to this podcast and understand that something's got to change. We got to do some different things to keep our people here.
And I'm still here. My business is still here.
Yeah.
So the cookbook was our restaurant partners wrote it. But April and I created the Heydays brand with them. We did the design. So it was really a collaboration, but so cool to see. It has beautiful photos of the motel in it.
I take a step back and I listen to where you started and knowing who you were when we went to school together and where you are now and talk about an evolution.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody picks their own path and they go down and you never know if it's right or wrong. But even just listening to you, there's an inner peace. There's a contentment with what you're doing, knowing that it's your purpose. I gotta give you props for that, Sarah. Like that's huge. Like a
Thank you.
lot of people
Yeah.
search their whole lives and don't find that, and it seems like you found it, you know, before you're 40. So like that's wicked. For the people watching this that are like that resonate with you or see you and they're like, I want to be like this. Like, what advice, what tips do you have for them?
Yeah, I think, I guess depending on where you're at in your journey, like take what you can out of any experience that you get. So I knew I wasn't on the right path when I was in government, but it didn't stop me from like really learning and like leaning into that job while I was in it. And know that sort of along the way, you're collecting skills and experience that you will end up using. Like everyone's like, how could birth, marriage, death really, and that was my specialty. How could that apply to what you do now? But I think, yeah, we're all growing, we're all learning skills, and you can take those with you wherever you end up.
I love it. And I guess, you know, actually something that I talked to about, we kind of brushed on this indirectly with like mistakes that people make, because being on that journey is about making mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And like learning from those mistakes and seeing a path that may be not yours and diverging. What is the single biggest mistake that you have made, and what has it taught you?
I don't know, we're making mistakes. Like the mistakes aren't over.
Of course not.
Still,
just up to this point.
yeah, still making them. And I think to like I won't get super specific, but it is interesting how mistakes that felt like insurmountable earlier on, like you start to kind of start believing in yourself a little bit more, that you're like, okay, I'm going to be able to see this through. I regularly have felt, I shouldn't say regularly, but we are in a seasonal business and cash flow is really, really hard to manage. So yeah, there's been like sort of an annual, like, are we going to make it through the season? But you start to gain confidence. You start to learn how to like find solutions. One of the phrases that April and I like to use is the only way out is through. Has got us through. That. Yeah, Robert Frost quote, but has gotten us through like some really
trademark
sticky,
Sarah, just throw it right beside motelier. Yeah,
really, really sticky situations. So,
Sarah, thank you so much for like being on the show and like sharing your story. It's funny because like I follow you from a distance and like we definitely have a history, but like I like hearing it up close and personal, like I'm just so much more, I don't know if proud's the right word because I did nothing to like help you get here, but like I'm in admiration of what you've accomplished and I'm sure you'll continue to accomplish. And I bet you if I talk to you in a year or two, that room count is not going to be 48.
Thanks. I feel the same way about you. So really nice to find this time to catch up.
Appreciate it. Thank you again. Yeah. Well, that's another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to Sarah for being on the show. To catch this and other full-length episodes of the podcast, you can check us out at basemhanna.com. That's BASEMHANNA.com. Or you can find full-length episodes on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Till next time, peace.